I am Reed, I am 27, just an average dude. I've made tons of money mistakes in my 20s, and now I want to share everything I've learned to help you take control of your finances and your life. Alright, peace. Let us talk about something seriously heavy today. Something that is hitting way too close to home for a lot of people I know, including where I used to be headed. We need to talk about how fast middle-class families are actually going broke right now. And it's not just in some distant news report, it is happening at an unprecedented speed right in front of our eyes. It's like the old bankruptcy starter pack that everyone used to joke about, taking out a massive mortgage, one spouse staying home and sending the kids to some ridiculously expensive international school that is ancient history, that is like a baby step towards financial ruin compared to what is happening now. Oh shit, the latest stats and what I am seeing in real life. The whole bankruptcy combo has evolved from a 3-piece set to a 7-piece set. And some folks are even talking about a 9-piece combo. What does that even mean? It means that middle-class reversal, the idea of falling from grace financially, which used to be a dark joke or a hypothetical scenario, is now a full-blown, large-scale, systematic wealth erosion. It is happening, it is brutal, and it is far more insidious and precise than any financial downturn we've seen in history. It preys on old mindsets and ingrained habits, making it incredibly hard to spot until it is too late. I've seen so many families, good people, smart people, fall into these traps. I remember this one guy used to make like 1.2 million a year at a big tech company back in 2021. At the absolute peak of the market, he bought a 12 million unit house in Hangzhou. His mortgage payment alone was 45,000 units a month. His wife was a full-time stay-at-home mom with 2 kids. Then last year, he got graduated Faye. That is what they call being laid off in tech. A nice way of saying you are out. He sent out over 300 resumes, got maybe 3 interviews. Now he is driving a BMW, but not to work. He is driving ride shares, just trying to make ends meet. Their savings they LA'll last, maybe 6 more months. 6 months. From a millionaire to driving Uber, just trying to survive. It is heartbreaking. Or this foreign company. Director in Shanghai wanted his kid to have the best start, right? Poured 3 million units into sending his kid to the UK for a Bachelor S and Master S degree. The kid comes back, gets a job, making like 12,000 units a month. You do the math. Even if that kid never spent a single penny, it would take over 20 years just to earn back the tuition. That's not an investment, that's a charity donation to a university. And what did it buy? A very expensive piece of paper and a relatively low-paying job in a competitive market. Another couple in Shenzhen, both internet mid-level managers, they had 2 apartments, felt like they were set. Totally secure in 2023, they jumped on the bandwagon and opened a trendy hot pot restaurant. Less than a year later, they lost 1.8 million units. Now they reselling their second apartment, their backup. Just to pay off the debt, they not lazy, they not stupid, they just applied the playbook of the last 30 years. An era of booming economic growth to today's economic downturn. They thought they had caught the wave, that they were climbing the ladder of wealth. But they didn't realize the steps beneath them had turned into quicksand. Let us break down why the old 3-piece set is still so deadly today, and frankly, even more lethal now than it ever was. First, the high-leverage mortgage back in the day. Buying a house was the thing to do. It was getting on the train, it was an asset. It was a sure bet for appreciation. Now, for far too many, buying a house is a liability, a literal financial shackle, a liquidity tomb. In 2025, over 719,000 foreclosed properties went up for auction across the country. And get this, the average discount was 74.1%. That means houses were selling at a 3/4 discount and still couldn't find buyers. So many families who bought at the peak in 2020 to 2021 are now sitting on negative equity. They sell the house and they still owe the bank hundreds of thousands. It is a nightmare. And what is even scarier is that in the past, if you lost your job, you could grit your teeth and tough it out for a few months while you looked for a new one. Now, you might not find a job with comparable income for half a year or even a full year, but your mortgage payment that doesn't budge. Not 1 cent less every single month. Remember this. In today's economy, if your monthly mortgage payment exceeds 30% of your household's net income, you are in the high-risk zone. If it is over 50%, you are literally dancing on the edge of a cliff, blindfolded. That is a dangerous game. Second, the single-income household where one spouse completely stops working. The ability of a single-income family to weather financial storms is barely a third of what a dual-income family has. In the past, when a man said, "I'll support you," it was seen as romantic, a grand gesture of love. Now that same phrase means you are tying the entire family's financial being to the career risk of one single person. If that sole breadwinner falls due to job loss, a pay cut, illness, or an accident, the entire family's financial structure can collapse instantly. I've seen too many full-time homemakers desperately scrambling for work after their husband gets laid off, only to find they've been out of the workforce for 5 to 10 years. Their skills are rusty, their network is gone, and they can only find jobs doing cleaning, cashier work, or food delivery, earning less than a tenth of what their family used to bring in. It is a brutal awakening, and it strips away dignity and options. Third, Sending kids to international schools or abroad for college. This is the absolute epitome of FACE, saving consumption and what I call the anxiety tax. International schools in Tier 1 cities, annual tuition is 200,000 to 400,000 units, from kindergarten to high school. You are looking at a minimum of 5 million units, 4 years of college abroad, easily 2 to 3 million units. But here's the stark reality. Over 90% of graduates returning from abroad now earn less than 15,000 units a month. You invest millions and you get back thousands. That is not an investment. That is pure, unadulterated cash burn. Many middle class families will literally sell everything they own, draining their life savings, to send their kids to international schools. Not because the kid is genuinely suited for it, but because everyone else is doing it, and they feel pressured to maintain their perceived middle-class status and face. It is a race to the bottom, driven by fear and comparison. Okay, so those are the old 3-piece set. They re-still deadly. But now let us talk about the truly terrifying stuff, the new 6 pieces that have been added to the bankruptcy combo. Each one of these is even more insidious, more hidden, and arguably more fatal than the original 3/4. Blindly jumping into entrepreneurship, saving money for 10 years while working for someone else, only to lose it all in 1 year of trying to be your own boss. This is hands down the fastest way for the middle class to go broke right now. No contest, you hit middle age, you are tired of the corporate grind, you feel like you've got experience, connections, resources. So, you quit your stable job to become your own boss. Opening a bubble tea shop, a hot pot restaurant, a bed and breakfast, joining a franchise, it all sounds so romantic, so full of potential, but the data doesn't lie. The closure rate for restaurants within 12 months is as high as 68% right now. 90% of startups don't survive 2 years. You think you are starting a business, but you are actually just working for your landlord, your employees, your suppliers, and in the end, you lose every single penny of your decade, plus of savings, and often pile on massive debt. It's not entrepreneurship. It's often just self-inflicted financial martyrdom. 5th, high-yield investment scams blowing up in your face there. As an old saying, you are greedy for their interest, but they after your principal. Right now, a 1-year fixed deposit in a bank might get you a measly 0.95% interest. Middle-class folks with a bit of cash are watching their money slowly erode due to inflation, and they get antsy. They desperately want to make their money work for them, so they become targets for those guaranteed principal. Guaranteed returns products, the private equity funds, promising 15% annual returns or more, the speculative cryptocurrencies, the pre-IPO, shares some people, driven by this thirst for high returns, even mortgage their houses to invest. The result, principal gone. House foreclosed, back to square one. Overnight, remember this, financial scams never target the truly poor because the poor don't have principal to lose. The more desperate you are to make quick money, the more likely you are to fall into someone else's carefully laid trap. It's an emotional game. And the scammers are masters of it, 6 chasing luxury cars and brand name goods. This is the ultimate pseudo-sophistication trap for the middle class. You spend 500,000 units on a luxury car, the moment you drive it off the lot, it instantly depreciates by 100,000 units every year. Insurance, maintenance, gas, and depreciation add up to at least another 80,000 units. You buy a 30,000 unit designer bag. Try to sell it, you'll be lucky to get 10,000, a 100,000 unit luxury watch. It might even depreciate over time. These things, beyond making you look good on social media for a hot second, have zero practical value. They don't generate any income. They just relentlessly drain your cash flow. Many middle-class families, as their income goes up 1 notch, their spending jumps 2 notches. They look like they're reliving the high life, but in reality, their entire paycheck is gone the moment it hits their account, sometimes even relying on credit cards and online loans to make ends meet. It is a facade built on quicksand. 7th, sudden major illness in the family. A single serious illness can completely wipe out a middle-class family's entire life savings. This isn't fear mongering, this is cold, hard reality. The average cost of cancer treatment. Now, 300,000 to 500,000 units. If you need imported drugs, targeted therapies, that cost can easily exceed 1 million units. Many people think their basic social medical insurance is enough, but social insurance only covers the most basic medical expenses. Many cutting-edge drugs, imported medicines, and high-end treatments are simply not covered. I've seen too many families forced to sell their only home, going from having a house and a car to absolutely nothing, all because of one devastating illness. It's a tragedy, and it's happening daily. 8th, acting as a guarantor for others or lending money to friends and family. This is one of the most unjust ways to go broke. Many middle-class individuals are too concerned with face. When relatives or friends ask for a loan or to be a guarantor, they feel awkward saying no. What happens? The borrower becomes the boss, and the person trying to get their money back becomes the supplicant. The money is lent out. Not only do you never get it back, but you often lose the relationship too. Even worse is acting as a guarantor. If the borrower defaults, You become jointly liable and have to pay off their debt. I've seen people whose lives were completely destroyed, families torn apart because they guaranteed a loan for a friend, ending up with millions in debt they couldn't afford. It's a silent killer of financial stability and relationships. Ninth, ineffective networking and climbing the social ladder. Many middle-class individuals believe that by attending endless dinners and social gatherings, by meeting as many people as possible, they can expand their network and gain more opportunities. So, they spend every evening rushing between engagements, drinking too much, spending a fortune, only to realize later that these so-called connections are completely useless. True networking is about how many people you know. It is about how many people know you and, more importantly, respect you for the value you provide. It is not about what you can get from others. It is about what value you can offer. When you have no intrinsic value to offer, you can know 1,000 people, and you LL still just be a name in their phone book. It is a massive time and money sink, leading to zero tangible returns. Alright, so that is the full 9-piece set of financial traps. Now, do you understand why middle-class families are collapsing so quickly? Because these 9 traps don't exist in isolation. They stack up, they amplify each other, creating a domino effect. You might first fall into the trap of a high-leverage mortgage, then add a single-income household, then the kids go to an expensive international school, then you blindly start a business and lose money, and finally, someone in the family gets a major illness. If you hit just 2 or 3 of these simultaneously, a seemingly stable middle-class family can completely disintegrate in just a year or two. The essence of middle-class bankruptcy isn't that they earn too little. It is that their expenses are rigid, their assets are illiquid, their debt is long-term, and their ability to withstand risk has vanished. In the past, during economic booms, debt was leverage. It helped you rapidly grow your wealth. Now, during an economic downturn, debt is a shackle. It locks you down tight and unforgiving. In the past, you could count on future income growth to cover your current debt and expenses. Now, future income might not just fail to grow, it might decrease or even disappear entirely. So in this new era, what can we as ordinary middle-class families actually do to protect our wealth and avoid falling into these traps? I've got 5 seriously practical, potentially life-saving tips for you. Every single one of these can pull you back from the brink. First, immediately reduce your debt, especially high-interest debt. If you can pay off your mortgage early, do it. If you have multiple properties, sell the extra ones if you can. Credit cards, online loans, these high-interest debts must be cleared first. Remember, in this era, being debt-free is more important than anything else. Cash flow, actual cash in your hand, is always more important than paper assets that are illiquid. That is your safety net. Second, never be a single income household if you can help it. No matter how much your husband earns, no matter how many times he says, I'll take care of you, women absolutely must have their own work and income. Even if it is just a few thousand units a month, it is infinitely better than having no independent income at all. This isn't just about the money, it is about your dignity, your options, and your escape route. When a family has 2 income streams, its ability to withstand financial shocks multiplies dramatically. It is foundational.